On a cold December night, in the year 1900, something terrifying happened on a lonely island in the North Atlantic. 3 lighthouse keepers vanished. No bodies, no signs of struggle, no explanation, and more than a century later, no one knows what happened to them. The island was called Island Moor, the largest of the remote Flannan Isles, located off the coast of Scotland. It was the kind of place where the sea never rested, where violent winds screamed through the rocks, and where isolation could slowly crawl into a person's mind. A lighthouse was built there to guide ships through the dangerous waters. In December of 1900, 3 men were stationed there: James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur. Their lives were simple but harsh. They maintained the light, recorded the weather, and lived surrounded by nothing but darkness, crashing waves, and endless silence. Then, on December 15th, something strange happened. A passing ship noticed that the lighthouse light was out. At first, it may not have seemed unusual. Storms often interrupted operations, but as the days passed, concern began to grow. Finally, on December 26th, a relief vessel called the Hesperus arrived at the island. But when they approached the shore, something felt wrong. No one was waiting for them. Normally, at least one keeper would come down to greet the ship. This time, nothing. The captain sounded the horn. Still no response. One of the relief keepers, a man named Joseph Moore, was sent ashore. As he climbed the rocky path toward the lighthouse, the silence was overwhelming. No voices, no footsteps, no movement. When he reached the lighthouse, the main door was closed. Inside, everything looked abandoned. The beds were unmade, the kitchen table had food laid out, one chair was overturned, and the clock had stopped. But the most terrifying detail was this: the 3 men were gone. No sign of them anywhere. They had vanished. The search of the island began immediately. The men checked the cliffs, the pathways, the shoreline, but there were no bodies, no footprints, no evidence of a fight. Nothing. It was as if the island had simply swallowed them. But outside, there were clues that made the mystery even darker. At the western landing, storm damage was severe. Supply boxes had been smashed, railings were bent, massive rocks had been displaced. The sea had clearly been violent. Then investigators checked the lighthouse logbook. What they found only deepened the mystery. One entry described violent winds unlike anything seen in 20 years. Another said that Thomas Marshall had been crying. Even stranger, one log said that Donald MacArthur had been unusually quiet. This was alarming because MacArthur was known as a tough, experienced man. The final entry read, "Storm ended, sea calm. God is over all." After that, nothing. No more entries, no more signs of life. So what happened? The official explanation was that the men had gone outside during a storm to secure equipment and was swept away by a massive wave. It sounded reasonable. The western landing showed signs of severe storm damage, but there was one problem. Why would all 3 men leave the lighthouse at the same time? Lighthouse protocol required that one keeper remain inside at all times. And why was one man's oilskin coat left behind? No experienced keeper would step into a violent storm without it. Those details opened the door to darker theories. Some believed a rogue wave crashed over the rocks and dragged them all into the sea. Others believed one man was swept away and the other 2 rushed out to save him. But some people believed something far stranger. The strange log entries, the eerie silence, the sudden disappearance. These led to rumors of madness, supernatural forces, even ghostly presences on the island. Locals spoke of the Flannan Isles as haunted, a cursed place where strange things happened. And when 3 men vanished without a trace, those legends only grew stronger. Of course, there is no evidence of anything paranormal, but the fear remains. Because the truth is, no one really knows what happened on that island. 3 men entered the lighthouse. Days later, it stood empty, its lamp dark, its rooms silent, and the men were never seen again. Even now, the Flannan Isles Lighthouse mystery remains one of the most chilling disappearances in maritime history. Because sometimes, the scariest mysteries are not the ones with monsters, but the ones with no answers.